So one of my parting words would definitely be to take a break. Take a break. I'm not saying take a gap semester or take a year off, but I'm saying, take a break. If you don't know what you want to do, you can always go in undecided. And I feel like that's not something that, people talk about. But I know a lot of my friends personally who went in undecided and, took some general ed classes and maybe took a class from a actual department here or there to see what they wanted to do. There's no rush on your life and your future, especially because we have, these short years, these 4 short years to basically decide what we want to do forever. Definitely take a break and take a moment to really look into yourself. And that will definitely help you, in the long run, find out, what you're passionate about, pick up hobbies, during that break, focus on you. And I feel as though, that's the most important thing is you. And I feel like people, they put their work in front of them or everything else in front of them, but definitely put yourself first. You are you, all your, extra accolades and all that. It's not you. You're you. Your mental health is you. So. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Career Education Learning Center podcast. I'm your host, Mitchell Rivers. I am thrilled and excited to have Kayla Alexander on our show today. She is a sophomore at North Carolina A&T University, majoring in psychology. How are you doing today, Kayla?
I'm doing good, Ms. Rivers. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic this morning, knowing that you came on my show today. Thank you so much for coming on our show.
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, certainly, yes. Kayla, tell the audience a little bit about yourself and how you come to going to HBCU school, North Carolina A&T University.
Well, he already introduced me. I am a sophomore psychology student at North Carolina A&T State University, but I also minor in biology. I am a current research assistant. That's my position at the school. And I work under Dr. Michelle Williams-Wheeler. She is above the child development department in the family and consumer science department. So yeah, I work for her and I am definitely enjoying being at my HBCU. I love it. It's really opened the doors for me and it has a lot of opportunities I feel like you can't get nowhere else, especially, as a Black woman in America. It really does open a lot of doors. So I love it here.
That is fantastic. Now, when you was in high school, was HBCU your first choice as far as going? And then when you said, I'm going to go to HBCU, why North Carolina A&T? Why not North Carolina Central or Salem State or any other HBCU?
So yeah, when I was in high school, the HBCU was my first choice. So I went to a predominantly Black school. It did have a few Hispanic people, but for the most part, I lived in Lithonia, Georgia. So, Georgia itself and the surrounding areas of Atlanta is pretty much Black populated. So I always was like, yeah, I want to keep this momentum going when I get to college. And A&T was my second choice, actually. I did want to go to Howard, but it was a bit of a long ways from my family. And I did want to stay really connected to my family. And because a lot of my family lived in not only Georgia, but in North Carolina, I was like, I guess North Carolina would be a great school. And I wanted to also go to a bigger school. So that's why I chose A&T over maybe Central or Johnson C. Smith, because I wanted a bigger environment to come to.
Yeah. I mean, A&T is a big university there, and you have an array of HBCUs from the small, like Talladega College, to big like Howard and A&T or Florida A&M. So you definitely had the choices there, no doubt about it. Now, when you went from high school to college, did you have any challenges as far as either academically or socially? Because I did.
Yeah. So I was coming out of COVID sort of in my 12th grade year. COVID hit in my 10th grade year. So, it went on for a couple of years. So before I even went to college, I actually took a gap semester because I realized that I wanted to not only save money for college, but also just get my mental health in a better state before, I transition into a world where it's really a lot of adult responsibilities. And I love that I made that decision because I was able to maintain all A's my whole freshman year. Wow. And I don't think I would have been able to do that if I definitely just went straight from high school all the way to college. I definitely wouldn't have been able to get that break that I needed, and I would have burned out.
Well, we don't want that to happen. We definitely don't want that to happen. And so that gap year, which I'm glad you said that. I had a previous guest that did the same thing. You took a gap semester. That young lady took a gap year. And I try to stress the parents, especially, like, if your child does not want to go to school right away or go to military, just let them take a little bit of time off to get themselves together. Do you think that gap year, gap semester really helped you as far as getting your mental health, as you said earlier?
Yes, I do think it helped me personally. I feel as though it's frowned upon because, statistically, a lot of people who do take gap semesters or gap years choose not to go back into college because they found, other career paths to choose. And I don't think that's bad at all. I think it's actually pretty good to, really figure yourself out before you invest your time, your money, and other things into an institution that you may not be 100% sure about. I was very sure that I wanted to pursue a higher education. So definitely just taking that semester off, it did help me. Not only, mentally, but financially. I feel as though, there's a lot of students who don't have financial support from, their families or their parents. So I was able to sort of have my own little pocket money for like little excursions that I chose when I was in school. Like if I wanted to, maybe go to a party one night, or I wanted to get around because, freshmen can't have cars. So, you can places. And, just to prepare myself to be an adult and have my own money with me, it really does make a difference to sometimes take a time off to work or just take time off to relax, because 14 years of schooling from K through 12 and maybe even pre-K at that, it was just a lot. So taking that little break, it's okay. And I do recommend for people to do it.
I agree. It is okay. I probably took a gap semester myself because I didn't have no money one time, And so it happened just because, like you said, finance. And I went to community college, Kayla, first. And so I went to Mitchell Community College in Statesville. Then I wanted to get away from home because I'm from Statesville. And I went to Charlotte and went to Central Piedmont Community College. And while working a job there or two jobs there and going to school was really rough on me. And so the doctor said, look, you need to get some rest. And like you said before, I probably mentally and physically and emotionally strained trying to go to school and work at the same time. So I kind of took that quarter or semester off. And I think I felt refreshed coming back, you know what I'm saying? Because I think if you have that goal and that's something that you want to accomplish, you'll accomplish it. If you have to take a year off or a quarter or semester off, whatever you want to do, and get yourself together. And then once you go back, now you, like you said before, you're refreshed, you're thinking straight, and now it's like going forward, right? And now you're just thinking forward, let me finish. And so I do not frown upon gap year, gap semester. I think it's sometimes needed because as a young person, you really don't know what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? We just do what the norms say, right? Go to school, get a job, get married, have kids or whatever, that normal cycle. And unfortunately, Kayla, life isn't that way. Life isn't that way at all. So how did you come about as far as majoring in psychology? Why not business, criminal justice, any other major?
So for me, it actually started in high school. So I lived, like I said, in Lithonia, Georgia for most of my life. It was for 9 years. And I actually was a peer mediator at my high school. So I peer mediated for a couple of years and I was one of the two. So there was only two of us. And basically what we would do is we would bring students who were going to get suspended for maybe, having arguments, disrupting the class and, other situations. And we just brought them in to sit down and talk to the other student they may have an issue with. And we sort of helped them resolve it. We didn't really put our 2 cents in, but we definitely help them, be able to talk it out so that in the future they won't, fight and argue with them anymore and they won't get suspended. So we were sort of like that break between suspension and, getting, maybe expelled or something, or, fighting or any type of violence. So, helping people and talking to them, I really, found a passion in it because of that. And I also went to a mental health summit, I believe in 2022 or 2021. And when I did that, I also was, a speaker for my school. There was a good 5 of us who went from like every school around Lithonia and Atlanta. And we went to Atlanta to go speak about how, kids' mental health is. And I met a lot of great people there. And we talked to actual therapists and people who really wanted to hear our advice, especially because, a lot of them counseled in school. Yeah. So we were able to really, bridge that gap between high school students' mental health and the actual, counselors who come to talk to us and how we need help. So that really inspired my passion for me wanting to go into psychology when I got to school. And the reason I'm minoring in biology is because I want to become a psychiatrist. So I want to go to med school, do a fellowship, and then eventually, get my little MD and go and become so that'll be fun.
Yeah, that is amazing. And I think a couple of things that you say that I can take away from is that I think there need to be a bridge gap, like you said, in high school, because when I'm talking to my peers, then I feel more comfortable talking to them and I feel like they know where I'm coming from, right? Than just going straight to an adult. And so that bridge between, those two levels, as far as going from straight to principal or straight from teacher to principal and have someone in between that really helps a lot, especially for a teenager, right? Because you want somebody to know how you feel. You're going through these changes, things might be going right. And as a teenager, now being an adult, I understand that I probably blew up things that wasn't quite that serious. But as a teenager, it's very serious. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Those things is minor, but to a teenager, it's way serious. And you say it is. It's the end of my life, the end of my world. And I'm just saying, no, it's small. It's only a small part of your world. But a teenager doesn't see the same thing I see because they haven't lived like I live. And sometimes as adults, we forget that, And so I think that was great. And then you go into that workshop. Oh, my goodness. And you got to meet those people. And that's why I think it's important for young people to go to conferences, to go do internships, to do things that they need to do in order to immerse themselves maybe in the major they want to major in, right? So if I want psychology like you did, go somewhere where there's a mental health symposium. If I want a business, go to a business consortium. Whatever you want to go into, computer, same thing. If you want to be in the arts, go to the arts conventions and stuff. There's a lot of conventions. There's a lot of associations out there that would love to help young people to decide if they want to go do that for the rest of their life. So that is fantastic. And so are you doing an internship as a researcher, or that's just something that you just want to do to dive into?
So my position as a researcher is actually my job on campus. So I am under, the federal Pell Grant. And so through my FAFSA stuff, I am able to get a job on campus, thankfully, because, I do not have any financial support from my family. So this is definitely, a job for me. But it's also, to help further me. The boss who I work under, Dr. Michelle Williams-Wheeler, she is actually, she majored in like child studies, but she went to go get her master's in psychology. So, being under her and working under her, I am also learning, because I do want to work with kids in the future as well. So I get to, do the best of both worlds and also be able to put my research into, the schools and stuff so that people eventually see me and like, oh yeah, she has credible, research under her belt, which will also help further me into med school. But it's definitely, to bring awareness because we have a child development program at A&T where we actually have kids come in and they have their own little building. So we teach them and we help them learn and we help inspire them to, want to continue schooling and, to get that education that they may not be receiving from public institutions maybe, or, where they come from. So, being able to help them is also, really nice. So, that's why. So it's not really an internship. I want to get an internship this summer, but, maybe that's in the works, maybe that's not.
Yeah, well, you try to do the best. I think I always tell people, if you can't get an internship, then do a work study or work within a part-time job doing the same thing that you want to interest in. And so if you're in retail management, work for a retail store. Unfortunately, that's what I did. I went into retail management. I was a business management major. I ended up getting retail because I had retail experience in college working part-time. So if you work in computers or data analysis, if you want to go in that direction, work within that company is somebody that offers that, and money can be an issue. I mean, as a parent who has a kid in college who had another one graduated, money is the issue for all parents. Believe me, I don't care. Unless you're making tons of money, it's always an issue there. And if students can do work study like you did or get a part-time job, anything to help the parents out, it would be fantastic. I'm appealing to the students right now, Kayla, so just hold on.
It's fine.
Please help your parents out as much as possible, okay? If you get a part-time job or whatever you can do, if you can go to community college first, do that. So do whatever it takes. I went to community college and work part-time, whatever I could do to help my mom out because I was a single parent. My father died when I was young, so she took on the responsibility of raising 4 kids. And I'm just elated. And every time I talk to mom, I tear up. But I'm not going to tear up today, folks. I'm pretty calm this morning. But I'm just thankful for what my mother, Jean Rivers, done for me. And like I said before, if you can't do an internship, get into that convention or whatever. Have you contacted your student services about internship or asked the academic advisor about internships for this summer or next year?
Yes, I have, but we have an app called Handshake, and a lot of colleges have their own particular apps. But for our school in particular, we have Handshake, and it sums up a lot of internships, job opportunities, and a lot of other programs for you to join. It also has scholarship opportunities on there as well. So I've been applying personally for, different opportunities. But, it takes a long time for them to get back, especially because, summer's about to come up and this is like the internship time. So they're not really responding into May. So I don't really know if I'm, going to get one or not, but that's okay. I'm still going to keep trying and keep applying until, it's finally hit the end of the semester and we'll see what happens. But I definitely do recommend going to like the the career services and seeing if they have anything. But most of the time they don't. And they do just tell you to go on Handshake because they post their job offerings for the school on Handshake as well.
That's fine. Now, when I was growing up, as we didn't have apps and all this stuff, with no handshake. It was like a hand go over here to the board and it was written down what they had. And you look at the board, you take your little card. Now I'm dating myself. You take your little card, you give it to the person at the secretary, and you call your name up and you go in there and they tell you they have availability or not. But I think that's something that I've discussed in the past on this podcast is that I want students to use their career services or student services, talk to the financial aid department, talk to the academic advisors, professors. You never know where somebody may know somebody who can help you get that internship or co-op. And so I encourage students to do that, very much. Talk to your counselors, talk to other peer groups like you, right? Talk to your peers. They may know somebody who knows somebody, It's all about networking, right? I mean, even in your profession, it's all about networking. Not only in business majors need to network, but everyone need to network. Whether you're going to be a school teacher or whether you're going to be in criminal justice or any type of work you're going to do, you're going to have to network in order to get that next job, So you want to be a psychologist? Is that your dream job? Is that something you want to be, to work with children? And has that passion always been there, just to work with children?
Yeah, so I wanted to be a psychologist, but now I want to be a psychiatrist. So I prescribe the medicine. And that inspired me because recently I've also, picked up my own psychiatrist and they have prescribed me Laxapro. And Laxapro is basically an antidepressant because, sometimes I'm not the happiest all the time, I put on a smile, but sometimes, it's not necessarily real. So, I need help sometimes. A lot of people need mental help, especially if they always say, if you're majoring in psychology, you probably need a psychiatrist. Yes. And I completely agree. I feel like everybody needs a therapist. So I definitely always recommend mental health counseling. And we have a great one at North Carolina A&T State University. So that's always nice. But yeah, I wanted to work with children. It was a passion of mine because, growing up, I felt like I had a lot of stuff that I couldn't, go to people about, and I didn't know how to talk to other people. So it's nice, being able to, tell other people about your troubles. You may not always have friends or family who you can go to. So having someone, in a setting that, hey, I can go to people about this and I can, maybe get help for something that, I may be insecure about, or I'm just having troubles in school. I'm having troubles learning or retaining information, having someone to hear you and to see you and maybe a different light from like your family. Because sometimes, you don't just need that parental guidance, but you need other people. So I definitely love that children are able to learn and able to grow at such a fast rate. So, me being able to help them and, give them information that they can take with them for the rest of their lives, that's something that really makes me happy. And so that's what I'm passionate about for sure.
And that is fantastic. I think this said something very important is therapy, and people need counseling. I see counselors. I had to see counselors even to start a business, right? I couldn't figure out why come I could not start a business myself. Why do I have to work for somebody? I mean, I've been wanting to start a business. I took business class. I took entrepreneurship. I've been to a lot of different seminars and stuff. Why come I can't do it myself? And so students, do not be afraid or do not let what you perceive as something that's a stigma of not receiving help. If you need help with a therapist, or you need to talk to a counselor, whether it's about your career and you're having career anxiety, whether it's about mental health, or whether it's about bullying or cyberbullying, y'all are up against something that my generation don't even come close to. I mean, bad enough you've been physically bullied at school, right? We had to see the bully, right? Y'all get bullied also on social media. And so it's a whole different level of stress and pressure as being a teacher these days. So I'm just glad I was born when I was born, okay? I didn't need no extra stuff today, but please seek help. I mean, don't be afraid to seek help and get yourself together. I always tell people, nobody cares about you more than God and yourself, and he cares about you more than yourself, but you have to take care of yourself and seek the help that you need. So go to your church, go to your students' counselors, seek outside help, whatever you need to do, seek help if you need it. That's what I'm letting our students know that. Well, Kayla, it's been a joy having you on our show today. Do you have any parting words for high school students that's going to enter college or thinking about coming to college as a way of education?
Yeah. So one of my parting words would definitely be to take a break. Mm-hmm. Take a break. I'm not saying take a gap semester or take a year off, but I'm saying, take a break. If you don't know what you want to do, you can always go in undecided. And I feel like that's not something that, people talk about. But I know a lot of my friends personally who went in undecided and, took some general ed classes and maybe took a class from a actual department here or there to see what they wanted to do. There's no rush on your life and your future, especially because we have, these 4 short years to basically decide what we want to do forever. Definitely take a break and take a moment to really look into yourself. And that will definitely help you, in the long run, find out, what you're passionate about, pick up hobbies, during that break. Focus on you. And I feel as though, that's the most important thing is you. And I feel like people, they put their work in front of them or everything else in front of them, but definitely put yourself first. You are you, all your, extra accolades and all that. It's not you. You're you. Your mental health is you. So that's my final words for everyone.
I tell you what, I'm going to take those words to heart. I do have to focus on me sometimes. I have learned, and like I tell people, you cannot help no one if you cannot help yourself, right? Mm-hmm. And we all want to be givers. It's better to, to give than to receive, and we can't give what we don't have inside of us. And so once we're okay with ourselves, once we feel comfortable, then to give, because most people are givers, but sometimes a giver or a caretaker can really, not take care of themselves, but they do their patient or the people they're taking care of. Believe me, I have caretaker experience and I've done that before where I'm exhausted now and not what good I am doing. So make sure you take care of yourself. And it's so great having you on our show today, Kayla. Thank you so much for coming on our show today. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Rivers. I appreciate it as well. Thank you for inviting me again.
And I'd like to thank our viewers and listeners for joining me, Mitchell Rivers, on the Career Education Learners Center podcast, where we make your career dreams a reality. God bless.